Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Triangle: The Secret Storm, Season 1, Episode 7, and the name of this episode is Mask Off. This was a really good episode. Yo, shout out to the BRTB TV family. Like, you guys did an amazing job on this episode because my mouth was literally like, I was literally like a fly trap the entire time because I was just blown away by what transpired in this episode, and it was very well written and very well represented. And the cast and crew, you guys did an amazing job. I salute you guys. You guys really did it with this episode. But before I get started, I want to let everybody know, subscribe to brtbtv.com. If you have not done so, you need to hop on right now. I will have that link in the description box. That is brtbtv.com. There's a lot of great things that is happening on brtbtv.com, and you guys need to subscribe today, and actually check out some of the great things that brtbtv.com has to offer. Also, you should also check out the Triangle Fan Club on Facebook. The Triangle Fan Club is pretty much a great tool. You get everything Triangle. You get to talk to other, fans of the show, as well as the cast. And also we get updates from the creator, Caesar Williams. But also to be mindful, be respectful when you go to the Triangle Fan Club. This is not a place where you can go and be disrespectful or, be, overtly aggressive, sexually aggressive, So be respectful that these are, human beings, and that we all should respect each other. And, Triangle Fan Club should be a vehicle for positivity, not negativity. So just want to put that out there. Also let me give out my love and condolences to everyone that was affected by the tragedy in Las Vegas, as well as everyone that was affected by Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, Jose, and Maria. And if you can give any type of relief or support, please do so, because, our fellow man needs our help, and we should definitely lend support where it's needed. So definitely keep that in mind. If you can give support, please do so. Now, let me begin with this review. Now, the episode starts off, with a versatility and sex match that's going on between Ty and Peter. I mean, you got Ty the Magic Stick, and you got Peter Piper, and they are literally neck and neck. I was like, man, this is like a WCW match, if only they had some oil. Don't judge me, y'all. But it was good for what it was. I mean, they were definitely enjoying each other, and it's been a couple weeks since the last episode. So a couple weeks has passed. So Logan has been in Philly this whole time, but we see that Ty and Peter have grown closer since the last time, and they just been fucking left and right. As a matter of fact, they were fucking all night, and they were just taking turns. And I was just loving it on the part where Ty was riding Peter, and Peter had his hands behind his back, and he was like, I was like, okay, Peter, I see you, player. Okay. But him and Ty were enjoying each other. And, you can see that they've developed, they pretty much understand what this is, that they are just, they just having great sex, they're not having no attachments or nothing like that. Pretty much Peter even said that this is like the best sex he's ever had, and for him being the big freak he is, that's a compliment. And Ty is definitely loving the sex that Peter's throwing, that he likes the sex game that Peter's bringing as well. So all of a sudden, Peter is about to get up because he says he has to have dinner with a colleague. We later find out that colleague is Gary, and that he has to do some work with his class or whatever. So we know he's a professor, but we still don't know what his major is. What his field of study is, my bad. And then, Ty's like, yeah, I got to get in the studio and get some stuff. And then he's like, by the way, can I ask you something? And I'm like, Ty, don't start with no bullshit. And lo and behold, this nigga literally asked this fool for some money to help, and that can he get a few hundred till he gets money from his next gig. Peter looked like, I can't help you with that, man. He's like, but you know, I'm good for you. You know, I'll pay you back. He's like, yo, I've had bad experiences with people, you know, with giving people money or lending people money. I'm just not, I really don't have that. I just can't do it. He's like, I'm like, he's like, you serious? He's like, hell yeah, I'm serious. Like, I'm not giving you no money, bruh. And he's like, well, yeah, I understand. I guess I have to find my own way. And Peter was like, yeah, you'll go get her. I'm pretty sure you will find your own way. But he's like, yo, I'll hit you up later. And then old Ty's like, yeah, I guess. I'm like, really, bitch? I'm like, you really just think, you know, white boys are just walking ATMs, don't you, nigga? And I'm just like, that shit was crazy. So then, all of a sudden, Peter leaves, and then Ty's like, you got me fucked up. I always got me an Old Faithful. And I'm like, I wonder who Old Faithful is. But we find out in the next scene, because the next scene, we see that while Ty and Peter had been rolling around having this, you know, Versatilian sex match, Sebastian and Gary have been getting it in. And he got Sebastian completely sprung, you know, and pretty much we also find out in the scene between Sebastian and Gary has made Sebastian transfer out of his class because he wants to keep their relationship a secret. And, you know, and that he tells Sebastian, you need to promise that you keep this between us, you know. And then later on, you know, he pretty much said that, look, I'm trying to protect my reputation, and I'm definitely trying to not cause any trouble, so you got to keep this between us. So Sebastian agrees, but then Sebastian later on asks him, am I the first white guy you've been with? And he was like, yeah. And he's like, well, what do you think about that? And he says, well, it doesn't matter to me. Why are you making it an issue? And Sebastian was like, look, you know, I know that, one, we had this issue with race, and we also had the issue that you're older than me. You know, and I know, you know, in time we're going to have to really face these issues and deal with them. And then he talks about his father. And this was like a ring the alarm for me, because he talks about his dad, and he said that after, you know, his parents divorced, his dad became very depressed. He became an alcoholic. And what he would do is that he would date these young girls, will wine them and dine them and give them the life, and then he'll just dump them for the next one. It seems to me that like you and your sister are paying for your dad's sins, because don't the men that you both date do the same shit to you? So that was definitely an eye opener. He let Gary know about this, and Gary was like, look, that's not what we had, and you shouldn't compare yourself to your father. You know, I think that's crazy. And then, you know, Sebastian's like, well, look, it's the sins of the father. You know, it is what it is. So then, next you know, Gary was like, so have you talked to your ex? And he was like, not really. Why? He's like, because if we're going to do this with each other, I need to make sure that you still don't have feelings for your ex. And he was like, look, my ex-boyfriend was an asshole. And, you know, he was, you know, he definitely, you know, was good looking and had all these qualities. But other than that, he doesn't have, I don't have the same thing, you know, with you. Like with you, I have something more. I have something greater. And then next thing you know, we see Sebastian's phone goes off, and immediately Gary's like, Sebastian, you know, and Sebastian just didn't say anything. We knew he got a text, but Sebastian didn't acknowledge it, but Gary paid attention to it, and he was just like, I want to know, do you have feelings for your ex? And he's like, no, I don't. He's like, oh, okay. So then we see that Gary gets in his feelings and starts, you know, throwing things and shit, and I'm like, yo, you are such a fucking child. Damn. Like, doing all this punk-ass shit. And then, you know, he's like, well, let me walk you to the door. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But then we later on find out even more to the story. Then we actually see that Gary goes to see Dr. Chase. Dr. Chase decides to do hypnosis on him to help him gain control of his anxiety. You know, at first he's hesitant, but then he finally lays down, and she counts backwards from 5, and she's pretty much letting him know, you know, go to that place of control, go to that place where you had the most dominance, and, you know, speak it. You know, so she's counting down to 5, and when it gets down to 2 and 1, we start hearing this other voice in Gary's head, and he's like, control? You don't control shit. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, fool? And it's like, you better not let this bitch know anything. And then next thing you know, Gary comes to, and we see his alter ego is sitting over there. You know, the alter ego that I call Xanax? We actually saw Xanax this episode, and Xanax is an evil motherfucker. And he just is real smug, he's simple, he's controlling, he's manipulative, and he's just an all-around, you know, vicious asshole. And he's just sitting there like, yeah, yeah, you better keep your mouth shut. You better not tell her nothing. And then, like, and he's saying, like, you, and she's saying, like, speak it. And he's like, and then, like, Xanax is telling Gary, you better not say a damn word. You hear me? Or I'ma fuck you up. Like, he was just giving all of that. And the next thing you know, Gary jumps up, and all of a sudden we see that Xanax has taken over. And he's like, what the fuck did you just do to me? And Sharon is like, look, you had a moment where you were scared. I need you to speak what that is. Like, look, it's working. You know, obviously something happened and you got scared, and I saw it. What are you afraid of, Gary? And then all of a sudden he just like rushes her, like, get the hell out of my way, and gets the hell up out of there. And then she makes her diagnosis, and she also diagnoses that not only is he sociopathic, and then she says that what we have here is not a situation with anxiety. This is a personality disorder. And it's obvious because now this alter personality, which is Xanax, you know, that is now plaguing him, is now beginning to take more center stage in his life, where the actual Gary that we first met is slowly but surely being taken over by Xanax. And it's crazy as hell. So we actually find out that Sebastian got a text, and we all realize that the text came from Ty. So Ty and Sebastian have a meetup. You know, Ty is putting on the same amount of moves. So therefore, nigga, the only reason why you hit up Sebastian because you want some money, because Peter Piper decided that he's like, look, I can lay my pickled peppers with you, but you ain't getting my coin. So now he done hit up damn Sebastian, trying to get back with Sebastian like, yo, I missed you. You know, but then Sebastian's like, man, get over here with that, get out of here with that bullshit. You didn't want me around. You wanted space, remember? And he's like, but you know, I miss you, and I want to show you how much I miss you. He's like, nah, nigga, you don't miss me. Well, he didn't actually say nigga, but he's like, no, come on, fool, you don't miss me. You just miss, you know, my money, and you miss the fact that you can have your way with me, you know. And I'm over it because I moved on. And he's like, yo, and Ty was like, look, you know, at the end of the day, if I didn't care about you, I wouldn't even bring your ass up in here. So what all this shit you talking? And he's like, look, Ty, I'm tired of you just coming at me any kind of way. And it's like, it's always about Ty, and it's never about us. And I'm tired of just being, you know, a part of your world, but you never want to understand mine. And then Ty was like, look, I know I can be a dick sometimes. And then he's like, you know, I miss you. And, you know, and if anything, you know, I want us to work things out, you know, and all of this shit. But then that damn Sebastian, I'm seeing someone. And then all of a sudden Ty was like, is that right? He's like, man, if that's how the way this is, I mean, hell, if that's what's going on, then why the hell you didn't tell me on the phone? Why you waste my damn time you bringing over here with this bullshit? And he was like, well, I just wanted to let you know, and, you know, he's a good guy, and, you know, he pays attention to me, and he's giving me what you've never given me. And then Ty was like, well, hey, if that's what you want, fine, but I hope it's worth it. He's like, oh, yes, it is. Bye, Ty. And I was like, Sebastian, you gullible bitch. Because yeah, I can say that, yeah, the situation between you and Ty was fucked up. But one thing I can say about Ty kept it 100 with your ass. He let you know the kind of dude he was. He let you know what he was about. Now you with a nigga who has done nothing but tell you bald-faced lies the entire time, and you think you got something better. Boo-boo, 80-20. You left a situation where you weren't getting all you wanted, but you at least got honesty. Then you got got with a nigga who not only tells you bald-faced lies, but at the end of the day means no good to you. But he's got you believing that he is. So Sebastian is, as I said, he's a gullible motherfucker, and we literally see what this leads to with Sebastian in this episode. Next, we actually see that Peter and Gary are having lunch. You know, they're both colleagues and they're both professors. We actually find out that Peter is a psychology professor. So he teaches psychology and Gary teaches mathematics. And pretty much, pretty much Gary opens up about some of his insecurities at the workplace. He talks about this professor named Monica, and she's like, I don't understand why she doesn't like me. You know, and we see that, yes, we actually see that, you know, Gary is extremely insecure, which his, you know, dominance of power resonates from, because he always feels like he has to prove himself to everybody. And he feels he has to make an impression of who he is. And pretty much, you know, Gary's like opening up to Peter saying, like, you know, I feel like I'm always have to, you know, prove myself because people are always second guessing my credentials, and I hate that shit. And pretty much, you know, Peter was like, man, don't pay those assholes no mind. Shit, you pretty much paved your way here. You got here because of you. And don't worry about these assholes, because some of these assholes got here because of a trust fund or because of who their family is. You got here by your own merit. So actually, don't even waste time with those motherfuckers. But then he starts talking about Monica. He's like, man, Monica's a bitch to everybody. Monica wants to be the department chair, and she's not qualified, so she walks around being a bitch because she's upset. And then Peter was like, I would have fucked her. He's like, yeah, I would have given her some dick, but I chose to change my mind because I think she would have been some fatal attraction type shit, because that bitch is crazy. But he said that's why, like, you know, when it comes down to hookups and shit, I'd rather do that with guys, because, you know, there's no attachments. You can just get in and get out. And he talks about Ty and saying that, you know, I met this guy, you know, for the past weeks. We've been having great, amazing sex. I can't get enough of it. But he did something today that completely threw me off. He asked me for money. And then Peter's like, what? He's like, yeah, he asked me for money. I thought it was weird. He's like, look, at the end of the day, you know, I'm loving this sex thing that we got going on, but I'm not a fucking ATM. And the fact that this fool asked me for money after having sex, it was like he was asking me to pay for it. I was like, that's interesting. You know, that's definitely an interesting parallel. So Gary, a.k.a. Xanax, definitely decided to flip the script. He was like, because he pretty much asked Gary for his advice on the situation. And Gary was like, well, this is shocking. A psychology professor's asking me for advice. But okay, I'll let you know something. Give it to him. And don't ask for it back. And Peter's like, what? He's like, yeah, give it to him. Because if you loan him the money, that's a business transaction. He has to pay you back. But if you give it to him with no strings attached, you actually make him indebted to you, and he'll be kissing your ass. And he's like, I don't know about that. He's like, trust me. You ask for my advice, this is what you should do. You should do it. Just give him the money. Yeah. You should really do it. I was like, oh, Gary, you messy motherfucker. But, yo, let me shout out my boy Sean Singleton. He is acting his ass off playing the role of Gary. Like, as much as I hate Gary, that lets me know that Sean is a damn good actor, because he is bringing this part to life. And this whole episode, like, Gary just had me turning sideways like, you crazy son of a bitch. Especially in this thing, because he was just smiling like, you should do it. Yeah, give him the money. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, dude, you are really just being taken, you're just really losing all control of your sanity, and you're literally morphing into this other person, and you just messy as shit. And I was just like laughing my ass off, like, wow, this is crazy as hell. And we actually see this actually plays out later. Then we get a scene with Naya. So Jabril has let her in to get the rest of Logan's things. Gary so happens to walk in, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing in here?" She's like, "Look, Jabril let me in. I just came to get the rest of Logan's things, and I'm gonna be out of here." And then next thing you know, he's saying that first of all, you know, Logan leaves me. I've been calling and texting him, and I haven't been able to reach him. And then you up in here unannounced. And she's like, "Look, you know, if Logan wants to deal with you, he deal with you." And then when she tried to walk away, we actually see that we get a scene where Gary gets very aggressive, throws her down on the bed, and it looks like he's about to rape her. But that's what played in his mind. That was Xanax. But in this moment, we didn't get Xanax. We got Gary. Because all of a sudden it plays back, and when she's about to walk away, he tries to stop her, and he was like, "Look, I love Logan. You know, why won't he respond to me? I love him." And Naya was like, "Then why'd you put your hands on him, Gary? Why the hell did you do that?" I mean, because if you truly love someone, you don't take it there. And to top it off, like, look, I understand, but right now, after what just went down between you two, space is the best thing you can give Logan right now. Let him, you know, let him get things together, and when he's ready to deal with you, he'll deal with you. And then she let you know. Then she kind of let him know. You can't, just because you pay for everything doesn't mean you own him. And I'm like, and I just immediately thought about that shit when he was telling that shit to Peter. That's the exact damn bullshit that you're doing with Gary. I mean, that's exactly the same bullshit that you're doing with Logan. You pay for everything so you can make him indebted to you, and you can have that type of control over him, because Gary is obsessed with having control, because inside himself, he doesn't have control. Xanax is controlling, you know, his psyche from the root to the toot. And we definitely see that now. So we see that outside of him, he's always trying to gain control in some way, and he uses his money to control Logan. And Naya called that out, and she says that, look, you need to give him time, and when he's ready to reach out to you, y'all can probably sit down and actually talk. So we actually see he actually lets Naya leave, but then he says, tell Logan that I love him. And I'm like, if only Logan knew the kind of bullshit you in right now since he's been gone. It's like every time Logan leaves, you creating some type of drama, then he walks back into some bullshit. And I'm just like, Logan, I mean, I'm afraid for what Logan is about to walk back into based off what happened, you know, in this episode, and I'm about to get to it, so let's keep it moving. Then we get a short scene with Gary and Sebastian. He pretty much says that, you know, he lets Gary know that he saw Ty, and he's like, what? He's like, yeah, I saw my ex. And he's like, oh, so that's who was texting you earlier. He was like, yeah. He's like, listen to me, we talked, nothing happened. I want to be with you. And then all of a sudden Gary's like, oh, so you lied to me. When I asked you what was going on, you didn't say anything. So you lied to me. I can't trust you. You know what? You just need to get the hell out of here. Just go. And then Sebastian's like, what's going on? Like, I'm letting you know that nothing happened. Why are you acting like this? And then Gary's like, I'm letting you know you need to get the hell up out of here right now. And then he tries to embrace Gary, and Gary just jacks him up and was like, look, I'm not going to tell you this shit again, motherfucker. Get the fuck out. And I'm like, whoa. You messy bitch. Like, you are so fucking messed up. And it's crazy as shit. So if anything, that shit was just crazy. And I was just like, yeah. You know, it's just like Sebastian doesn't get it. Because the next scene we see, Sebastian decides after he gets put out the house, you know, after he gets put out by Gary, he goes to see Dr. Chase, his sister. You know, and he gives her back the money that he owed her. And she was like, oh, I bet you got a lot of money now that you ain't messing with that leech mother. She's like, well, I bet you got more money now that you got that leech out of your life, meaning Ty. And then he's like, well, I got something to tell you. And she's like, oh, please, don't tell me that you got back with that motherfucker again. Man, I just knew you was going to cave in. And he was like, no, I met someone new. You know, he's successful, he has a career, he's got his life together, and he's very attentive to me. I'm like, you bitch. This motherfucker just straight up jacked your ass up and threw you out of his house, and you up in here with your sister telling, like, you got the best relationship there ever was. Like, delusional as fuck. And then Sharon's like, you know, wow, that's a lot of accomplishments for a college student, because she said, we met at school. I'm like, no, boo-boo. He's messing with your professor, and at the end of the damn day, bitch, you really can't talk because you sleeping with your patient. Pot calling the kettle black. But then she says that he's a great guy and he's so attentive. And Sharon was like, yeah, they usually are at first. But you need to give it time to get to know somebody. And he's like, well, you know, but things are going well in our relationship. And she's like, relationship? I thought you just met the guy. Why the hell are you always so quick to jump into a relationship? You know, but he said, well, isn't that, you know, what you call, like, you know, an interaction and like a connection with someone? And she's like, Gary? I'm sorry. She's like, Sebastian, you need to get to know someone first. And you need to stop trying to jump into something, because when you actually, you know, when you move too fast, the harder you fall. And then Sebastian's like, well, everything is fine. But she's like, look, you have to be careful out here, and you just can't trust everybody. And then Sebastian's like, well, why don't you trust me? We actually see that he gets a text, and he's like, well, I got to go because I got to meet him right now. And he's like, look, I'm going to go enjoy myself, and you should do the same. I'm like, oh, she enjoying herself, all right. She enjoying, you know, the meat that she's getting from Peter. I mean, I don't know, she's been with Peter lately, but Peter got her nose wide open. But then she also is concerned about Sebastian, because she knows how gullible and fast Sebastian moves. And we definitely think this. So then, you know, quick, we get a scene with Ty and Peter. You know, pretty much he's shocked that, you know, because Ty's about to smoke some weed, and Peter's like, yeah, do that shit. And then Ty was like, man, I didn't take you being somebody that would smoke weed and shit. He was like, man, there's a lot about me you don't know. You know, if anything, I'm a guy that comes with a lot of surprises. When you think you have me figured out, I always got a wild card. And I'm like, isn't this sound like Ty? So it's like, man, Ty and Peter is going to be an interesting situation, because I kind of find their interaction somewhat, you know, reminiscent of Marcus Graham and Jacqueline Breuer in Boomerang. You know, he met his match. The same way he thinks and the same way he moves, they both have that in common. So that's why their chemistry is so strong, because they are alike in so many ways. But then we also come to find out that Peter is a psychology major. So therefore, Peter knows the art of mental manipulation, and he definitely pretty much knows how to get people to open up, because we saw that Ty normally doesn't open up about his personal life. But what Peter did is that he shared a story about him being a foster child and him having to go through the foster system, but it just strengthened him and made him better, and that's how he ended up becoming a professor. So that actually opened up Ty to talk about his life, and he says that he was actually incarcerated at 16, and because he was black and, you know, he didn't have good representation, he was just thrown to the slammer. And, you know, his family was around, but he didn't want his family to know about what he was going through. And he said that while he was inside, he couldn't come out the closet, because he said he saw how the guards were treating the gay people and the way they were abusing them. He says that shit wasn't going to happen to me, so I just kind of developed a hard hysteria, and I fought people off. And you know, I pretty much survived it. But then he said that afterwards, after my sentence was done, they put me in anger management, and he said that it was the best thing that happened to me, because I learned a lot. And then he said that that's around the time when I picked up music. He said I picked up music in jail, you know, and he says that, yeah, you're very talented. He's like, it's more than just talent to me, it's my life. So I'm like, wow, he's letting Peter in. And I'm beginning to see that Peter is definitely developing some horns. You know, I mean, let's be real. When we first met Peter Piper just got finished laying some meat up in Dr. Sharon Chase, his therapist. So the fact that he's screwing his therapist lets me know a lot about Peter, that, yeah, Peter can be on some slick shit. And I think this is what's going on right now. So he's now gotten him to open up, and then, you know, Peter's like, oh, yeah, you know that money you asked me for earlier? You didn't, I don't know how much it was. And, like, Ty was like, yeah, because you shut me down. He's like, well, I'll give you the money. And he's like, and Ty was like, I'll pay you back. He's like, no, don't worry about it. I got you. How much you need? He's like, well, I just need a few hundred. But he's like, okay, cool. I'll wire it into your account first thing in the morning. And he was like, well, my account's a little overdrawn, so I'm going to need it in cash. And all of a sudden we see fucking Peter's face. I'm like, Peter is like, oh, I really got your ass now. Like, damn, this motherfucker don't even have an active bank account right now. So he's literally dependent on whatever he can get. So Peter is definitely realizing, okay, now I got this fool to open up. I want to see how things are going to play out now, because he agreed to give him the money. He actually took Gary's advice. So we already see he's going to be playing some games with Ty. We're going to see, you know, what's going to go down between Ty and Peter, because I definitely see this is going to be a situation that is going to turn into something else. So we just have to stay tuned to see what's going to happen there. Then we get the last scene that I want to talk about between Sebastian and Gary. We actually see that Gary would actually text Sebastian while he was talking to his sister. He's now come back, and he's like, I'm glad you called me back. I hope, and like Sebastian is, I'm here. And then Gary was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And just still being very dismissive. But then he like literally grabs Gary by the face, and he was like, listen to me. Get over your damn self. I was letting you know that I told my boyfriend it's over because I want to be with you, and you need to know this. I'm here for you, and I'm not giving this up without a fight. And then all of a sudden, he kind of turns away, and then Gary's like, is that what you really want? He's like, yeah, this is what I want. I'm here, aren't I? And then he's like, look, I put myself on the line for you, and if I am going to do this with you, I need to have all of you. And then Sebastian's like, you have all of me. What do I have to do to prove it to you? Gary leans back and was like, why don't you decide? And tell me why the hell this gullible slut gets on his knees and starts sucking Gary's dick. Next thing you know, Gary is dicking Sebastian down. Like he is giving him serious dick. And Gary is tearing Sebastian up. Then after the fact, we see that Gary is just got this very cold demeanor about him. Sebastian tries to embrace him. He pushes him off. He was like, and then he asks him, so Sebastian, have you told anybody about us? And he's like, no, I haven't told anybody anything. Well, he told his sister, and he told Ty. He didn't go in depth of who it was, but he mentioned it, that he's talking to somebody. But Gary was like, well, good, because I can't do this shit with you. I'm over it. So, this shit is over. We can't do this no more. So just get on your clothes and get the hell out of here. And then Sebastian's like, really? He's like, yeah. It is what it is. What we had was fun. It is what it is. But you need to go on and get the hell up out of here, because at the end of the day, me and my boyfriend will get back together. And it is what it is. And he was like, boyfriend? And he was like, yeah, me and my boyfriend are going to get back together, and this can't go on anymore, so get your shit and get the fuck out of here, and you just need to just move the fuck on. This pisses Sebastian off. He's like, oh, so you want to play games, Ty? Well, he's like, oh, so you want to play games, Gary? Well, I can play games, too. He jacks up with Sebastian. He's like, I will fuck you up before you even get a chance to do anything. Now, I'm trying to do you a favor. Now, get your shit and get up out of here and cut the bullshit. And then Sebastian's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. You're just a selfish piece of shit. And he was like, yeah, and you were just some ass that I'd like to play with when I didn't feel like jerking my dick. It is what it is. So you need to move the fuck on. I don't care. And then Sebastian's like, oh my God, you're just an asshole, just like my ex. And then he's like, oh, you mean Ty? Oh, yeah, I've met Ty. I even fucked him too. I'm like, bitch, stop lying. He fucked you. And then he's like, oh, yeah. And he's like, and I don't see what the big fuss is. I mean, he's just a loser with a guitar and some stank-ass breath. I'm like, oh, it's so funny how a motherfucker becomes unattractive after he rejects you. Salty bitch. But then, and then Sebastian's like, well, how the hell do you know Ty? He's like, how do you know that I was dating Ty? He said, don't worry about that. Just know that I know. And then he's like, oh, so this is how you do? Okay. Well, I'm going to find your boyfriend, and I'm going to fuck him. I was like, Sebastian, sit down. He's like, boy, he wouldn't even look in your direction. As a matter of fact, he wouldn't even spit in your direction. He's like, oh, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the school, and I'm going to tell the dean. I'm going to find your boyfriend, and I'm going to tell him. I'm going to let everybody know about your sorry good-for-nothing ass. And this sets Gary off, and I'm like, Sebastian, you stupid bitch! First of all, if you're going to do some shit like that, you don't fucking tell the motherfucker that's what you're going to do. Because after you then said that you was not only going to destroy his relationship as well as his career, do you really think that motherfucker was going to let you walk out of that damn house unscathed and that you were going to walk out of there with no fucking problems? So it's just going to show you right there that Sebastian is completely gullible and he does not use all of the marbles in his head because that was dumb. You literally told this fool you're going to ruin him. You know that he is like pretty much one of the only black professors at the university, and he worked long and hard to get that position, and he's about to throw that all in the toilet because he's having a sexual relationship with one of his students. Like, you actually think he's going to let you walk out and talk some shit where you can just ruin everything. So, I don't know what the fuck Sebastian was thinking, but the bitch wasn't thinking at all. So the bitch was like, oh yes, I'm going to tell everybody. You're not going to play with my feelings. So when he's about to walk out, Gary corners him and was like, no. He's like, no, you're not going to do this to me, Gary. You're not going to mess around with me. And then all of a sudden he starts kissing on him. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then he's like, oh, you damn right you're sorry. I'm like, you easy ass bitch. He know damn well that you a bitch in heat, and he can just throw it on you, and he can just easily gain you back in. He can actually gain control all over again. And at that moment, that's when he began to put his hands on his neck and started to choke Sebastian out. And I was like, holy shit! Xanax has completely taken over because he just literally choked the dog shit out of Sebastian. The question is Sebastian dead or alive? We'll have to find that out when this episode returns because that's where it ended. But man, that was completely amazing and I enjoyed every minute of this episode. Sorry this review got long, but yeah, I didn't want to miss a beat because this episode had me on the edge of my seat and I was gagging after this episode because I'm like, oh my god, motherfucker, you just like to put your hands on niggas. And due to the fact that it's a white boy too, you better hope he lives, Gary, because if that shit gets out, oh, your ass is done. So we definitely have to see what's going to happen next, but I can definitely see there's definitely going to be some situations involving Ty and Peter, and I think Peter is going to give Ty a run for the money, for real. And I definitely noticed that when Gary gets back, Gary has got some shit to deal with, and I'm just wondering, after this, Logan, beware. That's all I gotta say. Logan, beware. You walking back into the situation, you may not walk out again. So I'm just saying, hopefully things work out. But we already see that, this storm has completely taken shape, and anybody can get affected by the avalanche. So that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. Or if you have any feedback or thoughts about this episode, please put it down there. I definitely want to hear your thoughts and opinions. But as I said before with the Triangle Fan Club, be respectful. So subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, I've started a GoFundMe. You can definitely check out that link in the description box as well. Also, like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and I will be back with the next episode of Triangle: The Secret Storm. So until then, everybody, take care.